With the Redfin app, you'll know the moment your next place hits the market, whether you're looking to buy your dream home or rent a sweet apartment. Give Redfin your gotta-have-it wish list of property features, and you'll receive real-time notifications tailored just for you. Ready to see it up close and personal? Scheduling a tour is just a tap away. Don't wait to find your perfect match. Download the Redfin app and start searching today.
Welcome to the podcast, Living by Oak Values. My name is Robert, and I host this podcast with my friend Gary. Join us today as we dive deep and share meaningful stories and discuss the values that help shape our lives. We are devoted to living by these values and sharing them with you. Whether you're a longtime listener or just now discovering us, welcome. Check us out at northmancoaching.com. Connect with us and get your free toolbox along with exciting updates. We hope you enjoy today's episode. Happy listening. And today we're going to be discussing honesty and integrity. And I'm going to start off with honesty being defined as being truthful, transparent, and free from deceit. It focuses on communications and action, saying or doing what is truthful and accurate.
And I'm going to follow up with integrity. And the definition is adhering to strong moral and ethical principles consistently, even under pressure. And it focuses on character and behavior, living in alignment with one's values, whether it is being seen or not.
And the quote that we decided that would align with the theme of the day's podcast is, "A person is not given integrity. It is a result from relentlessly pursuit of honesty at all times." And we actually didn't know who that was from.
And this episode is sponsored by Northman Coaching and their Oak Value cards, because who doesn't need a little extra motivation to conquer life? Feeling like a potato on the couch? These cards will turn you into a powerhouse of self-improvement. With motivational and insightful core values packed into every card, they're like a fortune cookie for your soul, except way deeper and without the calories. Head over to our website and grab your Oak Value cards today and use promo code PODCAST to get 10% off of your next order, because saving money is a core value too.
Hey, Gary, tell the listeners why we are comparing honesty and integrity in this episode.
Well, honestly, we are comparing these two values because together, honestly, they form a moral foundation, and that foundation guides actions and builds connections. Honesty is the key component to integrity. And together, they both share the common goal of fostering a truthful and ethical and trustworthy character.
I tell you what, this episode, I'll be honesty, because you used honesty too much in this episode.
What?
Already you've said honesty 6 times. It's my turn.
Okay.
All right.
If that's how you feel, honestly, that's fine.
Yeah, because you were like, honestly this, honestly that, honestly this. I was like, holy cow, dude, you're not honest that often.
If that's honestly how you feel, that's great.
Okay. How do you honestly add honesty and integrity into your life?
Well, honestly, I do it by practicing self-awareness. No, for real though, I practicing self-awareness and being truthful in as many situations. I want to say all situations, but we all know that to be truthful in all situations is our goal. But is it practical? I truly don't think it's practical. So call it what you will. But that is my goal, to try to be truthful in all situations. And when you tell the truth, you do have nothing to remember. And that's by Mark Twain.
I agree with that.
Me too. And that's actually why I chose to be honest and have integrity. When I was married, and I believe that part of the reason why I got divorced was because I was not honest and I had no integrity. But part of that is when I would tell a lie, I would have to remember the story I told so that I wouldn't screw it up to the next person or to the same person, probably my wife, now my ex-wife. But I realized that by not telling lies, there was nothing to remember. I would just tell you the truth. Done.
So speaking about lies, my mom was very big on it's okay to tell a white lie. And she told us, oh, hey, her favorite little saying was, a little white lie never hurt anybody. And all I can do is think about Albert Einstein, and whoever is careless with the truth in a small matters cannot be trusted with important matters. And I can say that's true because as I grew up, it led to me not telling the whole truth. And then I was always questioned, why didn't you tell me? What's going on? And I pretty sure that led me down the path of being a nice guy, where I was telling white lies because I didn't want to hurt my ex-wife's feelings or anybody else's feelings that matter. Being a nice guy, I turn around and I wasn't honest with myself because I wanted to please other people. And you didn't ask me the questions.
Because you changed it.
Not by much.
I know, but my question was in there and you changed it, so now it didn't come up.
It is in there.
Well, my question for you was,
What is the difference between a white lie and a small?
I asked it earlier in the last one and I forgot. I thought that was this one.
You got it right there under white lies, honesty, and trust issues. The difference, a small lie. Typical.
Blue.
Oh, you didn't mark it blue. Well, you didn't put your question in there.
Because I was going to ask you if it was blue, I would have caught it. I had some spur of the moment questions for you.
Why didn't you put them in there?
Because I suck. Honestly, I suck. You want to go back? Take a step back?
No, because actually I spit that out very well. Honestly, I enjoyed spitting it out the way I did.
Oh, great. All right, so Rob, honestly, I would love to know what is the difference between a white lie and a regular lie?
Well, my mom always said like a white lie is typically a very small lie told not to hurt somebody's feelings or prevent someone unnecessary discomfort.
So that is truly where the nice guy comes in, because you're not lying to hurt somebody, but you're lying. You're telling this white lie to kind of smooth it over, to not offend anybody, to not ripple the water, so to speak.
Yes,
I get it. I get
yeah.
it. I get it. Yeah, makes total sense. So white lie is like the nice guy thing.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to go back to integrity, and honestly, this is my thing. So integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching, and that is by C.S. Lewis. And I say this quote because it's true, and I really believe it. Staying true to your principles and acting ethically, even when it's inconvenient, difficult, or unnoticed. That is the key to integrity. So when I was married, I was a wet noodle. I had no real principles.
Whoa. What's a wet noodle?
Literally or figuratively?
Either one. Honestly,
literally, a wet noodle is in a pot of water and it's wet. You can throw it against a wall. If it sticks, it's good to eat as long as your wall is clean. Figuratively, a wet noodle is you could slap me around or whip me around and whatever. I would go with the flow. It was another form of being a nice guy. I had no principles or real principles. I was only ethical when my ex-wife was watching me, or if I was at work and my boss was watching me. And I also gave up all of the things that I loved. I gave up surfing. I gave up hiking. I gave up all of my male friends, but you know what? It was actually all of my male and female friends. I recall a time when I was, I want to say asked, but I'm pretty sure I was told to delete all of the females that were not my wife out of my phone. And I did it. Okay, whatever you want. Done. That's a wet noodle right there. That is a wet noodle. So that's it. So yeah. So I gave up all the things I loved and I enjoyed just to keep the peace.
Well, honestly, between honesty and integrity, honesty is about being truthfulness. It is what you say and what you do at specific moments. Integrity is about living according to your principles consistently over time. Encompassing honesty is one of those principles.
And honestly, in essence, someone with integrity will always strive to be honest. But honestly, we both know that honesty alone does not necessarily mean one acts with full integrity.
Which is fairly true. And the quote we have by James Faust is, honesty is more than not lying. It is truth telling, truth speaking, truth living, and truth loving.
I'm going to stop right there and tell you something. Like what you just said right there kind of rolls back into what you were saying about your mother and the white lies.
Yes.
And the half truths.
Yes.
So honesty is more than not lying, but the white lies, it's deceiving.
Yes.
Deceit. It's honestly, it's deceit. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it is true. And that is why I choose to live honestly now, is because I have learned that those white lies, even though they're small, even though they're quote, quote, innocent, they still hurt people.
So when did you realize that those still hurt people, or how did you realize that?
Well,
Were you
after
hurt by
my
them?
divorce, I started reading a lot of books, The Four Agreements, but the most recent book is The Six Pillars of Self-Esteem. It talks about dishonesty. The Six Pillars of Self-Esteem talks about how dishonesty, especially with ourselves, damages our self-esteem because it disconnects us from reality. Honesty, other hand, it strengthens our self-worth and it fosters authenticity because we trust our own judgment. Going through that I learned that if I told the truth, even if it was uncomfortable, and I thought people didn't love me because I was being honest and it was being mean or hurtful, but I realized that they kind of trust me because I'm going to tell them the truth. It might be the flat out most hurtful thing, but a lot more people want to hear the truth than they do me telling them a white lie to make them feel better. A quote I kind of came across that I really like was by John Ruskin. To make your children capable of honesty is the true beginning of education. It kind of all started when my favorite books. I read the book and I taught the dentist, and I was like, I now understand why these white lies were not good for me. And that was the Four Agreements. And it said the first one is be impeccable with your words. And I love that book, especially that first one, because that is the hardest thing to do is be impeccable with your words. Speaking of the Four Agreements, aren't you doing a TikTok show?
I am. I am. I am.
Um,
So I am the superior mailman on TikTok. So for the listeners out there, I think it's at superior mailman. It just
gotcha.
if you search that in TikTok, you'll find me. And I do a bunch of different things. But the last few days, I've started talking about the Four Agreements, and I'm going to go through it for the next month or so. And right now, we are on be impeccable with your word. So back to integrity. Since I've realized that I don't want to be that wet noodle anymore, I strive to live my life with integrity. And that means consistently adhering to my values, my principles. I speak the truth always. I had to think about that, but I'm going to say that I speak the truth 99.9% of the time.
Honestly,
Honestly, yeah, honestly, 99% of the time. You like that? Honestly. And I take accountability for my actions. If I have done something, whether it is right or wrong, I will accept the reward or the consequence. And I always act in line with my values, no matter the circumstances or who is watching. And I maintain the same standards of behavior in private or in public. And that brings me to a story that when I was going through, I had just been separated and I was reading a book by Steve Horseman, Tools for the Desperate Husband. And in that book, he discusses when you're out at the grocery store or wherever, returning the shopping cart to its little enclosure because it's the right thing to do. No matter what, you return that shopping cart. And before all this work, I would leave that cart next to my car, behind or in front of the car, wherever I wouldn't hit it, just to get back in the car and get home. And after reading that book, I remember the first time I did it. I was at a grocery store. It was dark. It was probably December, and I'm in New England, so it was pretty cold. And it was late. I had got off of work, and there was no one around. And I had thought about leaving that cart right next to the car, like I always do. And I was like, you know what? Let me start doing this. And I returned that cart, and that was it. No big deal. But I felt good. And then every single day, or not every day, but every time I went to the store, I would return that cart. And now when I'm with my daughter or with you or with anybody, I always return that cart, whether it is the middle of the day, the middle of the night, raining, snowing, I don't care. I return that cart. And for the two big reasons, I return a cart because I don't want it to hit someone else's car, and it's the right thing to do.
Mm.
And I make sure that my daughter sees me doing it when she's with me, and not for the recognition, but so that she can see the integrity. And I hope that she can learn from that and live a life of integrity as well. And hopefully, and honestly, start to live it before I started living it. So hopefully she won't be 40 something years old and realize this.
So why don't you teach her integrity now by making her do it?
That's a good question. I don't know if it'll come across as integrity or just another chore that dad's throwing her way.
Mm.
Do you make your daughter bring the cart back?
She loves bringing the cart back. My
Do you
daughter was the one who would stop us in the store so she could straighten up the boxes on the shelf.
Wow.
It was frustrating. And she returns carts back a heartbeat. She will return a cart back before I will.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, I guess my daughter's going to start doing that.
Honesty is the key component of integrity. The two share common goals, and together they form a moral foundation that guides actions and builds meaningful connections.
I want to throw in that, honesty and integrity. And it brings me back to when I was in the Navy. Navy ships, all ships, I believe, but definitely Navy ships, they have watertight walls. So in between every watertight compartments. So every compartment, there's a door that seals so water cannot get into it. So if the ship has a hole or it gets hit with something, an iceberg or a missile or whatever, you close these doors off and it will stop the ship from sinking. One room will be submerged and that's it. The ship can move on to get to harbor or whatever. And it reminds me of having integrity in life, because you let water in to that ship, it will sink. If you let dishonesty or lack of integrity into your life, you will sink. And to the listeners, I would like for you guys to take a moment to reflect on how you show up in your life. Are you being true to yourself and others? This week, challenge yourself to embrace honesty, even if it's uncomfortable, and watch how it deepens your relationships and strengthens your confidence. Start small, have that honest conversation you've been avoiding, or follow through on a promise you have made to yourself. Let integrity guide your actions and see how it transforms not just your self-esteem, but your impact on the world. And as our friend and colleague Jeff Allen would say, go and penetrate the world. And remember, authenticity isn't just a value, it's a superpower. So go out there and own your truth.
If you would like to go further or deeper on the topic of honesty and integrity, reach out to us. We want to know you and hear your powerful story. Chat and connect with us by booking your free session on our website at northmancoaching.com. And folks, that's a wrap on today's episode. And of course, thank you all out there for listening. We're so glad you could join us today. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast Living by Oak Values. And if you feel generous, leave us a review. It really helps us out and keep these conversations going. For more updates and exclusive contents, join our Facebook group, Northman Legacy Group. Follow us on YouTube, TikTok, or visit our website, northmancoaching.com. We'll be back next week with another exciting episode that you don't want to miss. Until then, keep discussing your values, embrace the journey, take care, and stay authentic.